Hi Libra, welcome to your July 2025 astrology reading with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. For those of you that asked, well, should I say you all asked, or I asked the question, I gave you guys the chance to choose. I did poll the question. So if you don't like the fact that these have been split into two, then you should have voted. All right. So with that said, remember, whenever I'm talking about astrology, I'm using whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know. And as if that wasn't enough, if you're only going to watch one of these, obviously, I would love it if you watched all three. But if you're only going to watch one of these, please make sure it's for your ascendant sign or your rising sign. It's going to be that much more accurate for you on the day-to-day level. With that said, your astrology gives you one slice of the pie that is you and what's unfolding for you over the month ahead. Tarot gives you your details and your specifics about different specific areas of life, and then your numerology gives you your own patterns, energies, frequencies, and vibrations and timings. All right. So if you use all three of these things that I put out in a cohesive manner, what you get out of them as a blueprint for your month ahead is always that much more powerful. With that said, I am Raphael, an astrologer, tarot reader, numerologist, and energy worker. For those of you that would like to know, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose, and this resonates, hit the subscribe button. So we're going straight in. On the 4th of the month, Venus, your ruling planet, is going to come into the sign of, well, it's going to come into a conjunction with the planet Uranus, which for you is happening over there in your eighth house. Now, this is really interesting for a few reasons, right? One, because obviously Venus is you, so you're coming into contact with a disruptive, potentially somewhat dramatic energy that is larger than life. Venus for you obviously rules your first house because it is you, and it also rules your eighth house as well. So she's, effectively she's at home. So she is the stronger planet here, but that doesn't mean that Uranus doesn't pack a punch. Now, that being said, Uranus in your eighth house of deep bonds, shared finances and resources, psychological entanglements, death, debt, taxes, the taboo. It's been there for a good 6, 7 years at this point, shaking things up. So, you will have had at least six of these, right? And previous to this. So this is effectively, though, well, it's not even effectively, like this is the last one of these that you're going to have now, because obviously Uranus is going to move into Gemini for a little bit this year and then full time as of next year. So yeah, if I'm right about my calculations, this is the last time you'll have this. So it could be, especially because it's in the eighth house, which is a house of endings, deaths, etc. Doesn't always have to be literal. This could be that something around relationships, intimacy, or even shared resources and finances could be coming to a dramatic end. It could also be that a surprise influx of money, finances, and resources, maybe even a confrontation around an emotional debt of some sort, where you just kind of have to say your piece or you have to see something through to completion. If you've been relying on somebody else's support emotionally or financially, this could be a moment of truth where that comes to an end, whether by your own hand or by theirs. Now, on the 5th of the month, Venus, your ruling planet, comes into the sign of Gemini. Now, it's not necessarily a bad sign for her because, Venus rules an earth sign and an air sign, so she understands air energy. Coming into the sign of Gemini for you, this obviously rules your ninth house. Venus moving into this ninth house it's going to bring a much lighter energy, a much more buoyant energy in for you. It really rules your beliefs, your higher mind and philosophies. It's your long distance connections and experiences. And it's also how you interact with the world in terms of the things that you want to share that are thoughts, beliefs or ideas within your own mind. So the ninth house is publishing books, blogs, can be a YouTube channel as well. However you reach or connect to the larger sort of populace through media in some way is very ninth house stuff. Suddenly you might be able to see, remember the ninth house is a visionary house, right? It's very much looking to the future. So, this could be that you are starting to make plans plans. Maybe it's easier to make plans now that you've done that dramatic stuff that needed to happen in that eighth house. Now, Uranus tends to wake us up in some way, right? It shakes us out of complacency. Since Venus is you and you've had that conjunction in your eighth house, this could be a really deep, profound change of some sort that shifts something internally. And then when Venus comes into the ninth house here on the 5th of the month, you could now start really having conversations, talking about travel, talking about publishing, talking about higher education, thinking about your own spiritual philosophies and insights, and starting to really think about how those things actually support or create the life that it is that you A, have, and B, would really like to have. If you've been tangled in something heavy, this will give you the perspective and the air and the breathing space to be able to say, okay, you know what? I need to see this in a different light or in a different way. A short trip or an enlightening book or a podcast of some sort that you listen to, something like that could feel like a spiritual sort of lifeline at the moment, and it could be really beneficial. Now, on the 7th of the month, we've got a biggie, right? This is only going to be a 3-month taster. You're just getting a little bit of a taste until it goes in full time. But Uranus is going to come into the sign of Gemini, all right? So Venus has already paved the way, but now Gemini comes into this ninth house. Immediately, it's going to trine Pluto, which is in your fifth house in the sign of Aquarius. This is, I mean, Uranus in the ninth. I think this is going to be some really weird and wonderful, experimental, very much out there kind of energy that comes in. I think your mind is going to start to really expand in some really interesting ways. I think you could probably bump into amazing teachers, coaches, mentors, gurus, therapists, even that really have a very different, very sort of avant-garde approach to things. You might start getting really involved in things like astrology, metaphysics, anything to do with maybe Chinese astrology, Bata, feng shui, all of those kinds of things, energy work, tarot, even all of these weird and wonderful things. And because Uranus is involved, there might even be a technological slant to this as well. Now, that being said, Uranus is the planet of divorce, right? It disrupts or it pulls apart whatever is obsolete. So the fact that it's in that ninth house, this could be pulling apart your belief system. And this could happen really, really fast. You might find that over the next 3 months, things that you believed your entire life, right? Things that you were devoutly, staunchly attached to on an internal or a mental level, suddenly just absolutely blow apart. Something could come in that really wakes you up, that gives you a really different perspective. And it's like, once you've seen this, you can't go back, right? Because you're completely changed. The fact that Pluto then is obviously in the sign of Aquarius in the fifth house. Pluto is change, right? Uranus is change, right? But sudden, shocking sort of change. Pluto is let's get to the very depths of what is here and extract the pure truth and the pure potential. So these two coming into a trine in what's considered actually the two luckiest houses in the chart. This could be a remaking of self through the breakdown of the illusions that of the beliefs that you have bought into. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of like you and the way that you express yourself, fifth house, the things that you believe, ninth house, are just absolutely Uranus and Pluto ripped apart, right? Anything that you believed in that you thought was solid is torn to shreds, and all of a sudden it's replaced with this really powerful, profound personal truth. I- you know, what more can I say? On the 10th of the month, you've got the Capricorn full moon, which for you is happening in your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate. Your deep emotional self is the fourth house. This Capricorn full moon is actually quite nice. It's interacting very nicely with the node. So it's trine to the south node, which for you is in the 12th house. It's sextile to the north node, which for you is in the third house, right? So there could be some really important conversations coming in at this time around, relationship, partnership, in some way, shape, or form. And when I say relationship or partnership, this could be with siblings, this could be with, people that you look up to, that people that really, in some way, shape, or form, represent what's the word that I'm looking for? Um, Sorry, bear with me. Where is that? Like people that represent your yeah, just sorry, the nodes for you are not in those houses. The nodes for you are in the sixth and the 12th houses. That's why I was completely confused. So you've got this full moon that's happening in your fourth house, triggering your emotions. Remember, full moons are endings, completions, culminations, things coming to a head or coming to fruition. And they are points at which we are that much more emotionally charged. Now, the fact that you've got the South Node in the 12th house and the North Node in the sixth house, this could have something to do with your work. It could have something to do with old, patterns of baggage that have come up with or around the people that you live with or your familial ties. It's also possible that at this moment you could be having a lot of really deep discussions with colleagues and also potentially with family members about how you see the past in or within the context of the family. So, there could be some really interesting and also very revelatory conversations that come up at this time. On the 18th of the month, we've got Mercury going retrograde in your 11th house. So, Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Leo. This, because it's in your ninth house is being triggered really strongly, right? But your 11th house, the ninth house looks to the future, but the 11th house in the chart is the future. And because you've got Mercury in this space, you could be having a lot of really powerful conversations, thoughts. You might be connecting with people who are seers in some way, shape, or form, people that really can see the future or understand what's going on behind the scenes around the corners. Mercury for you rules your ninth house and your 12th house. So the spiritual elements of this, even though it's Mercury retrograde in the friendship zone and the future zone and the helpful people zone, there is a spiritual connotation to this, right? And it's a Mercury retrograde. So a lot of your thoughts could be turning inward now. You've had these profound shifts already taking place on a very deep personal level. And so your beliefs and your perspective on the world and the way that things are is really shifting. And so this Mercury retrograde, maybe you're rethinking your longer term plans. Maybe you're starting to think to yourself, actually, I was going in that direction and that did feel like my future. But now that I know this, now that I am shifted here, changed here, adapted in some way, shape, or form, I can't continue with those plans. I can't continue in that direction. And this could be shocking to a lot of people, right? A lot of people might see this and be like, yo, Libra, what is going on with you? But the truth of the matter is, whatever is breaking down, whether that's a communication breakdown, whether it's a friendship that's being tested, it's really getting you to pay attention to your life now and how that is on the trajectory that you want it to be, going in the direction that actually feels like it's really meant for you. And there may be some people that come in to help with this. Mercury retrograde might bring people back from the past, especially because Mercury rules your 12th. So there could be people coming back into your world that you're like, why are you coming back into my life now? Well, it's to help you recalibrate what your path forward actually looks like. On the 20th of the month, we've got Mars, the planet of excitation, irritation, passion, war, vibrancy, energy, passion. I said passion, war, challenge, conflict, strife, even. Mars is cutting things, severing things, but it's also about where we put foot to arse to get shit done. Now, Mars is coming into a conjunction with the South Node, which is an eliminative energy. I like Mars in Virgo. I don't know. Well, I do know why. I like Mars in Virgo because it makes you really proactive about doing what needs to be done and paying attention to the details on the way. You add to that then that this is happening in your 12th house, conjunct the South Node. This is you breaking away with the past in some way, releasing an alternate future timeline. You've got this, letting go of past baggage that's held you back or held you down in some way or limited you. Mars rules your seventh house of partnership, relationship, significant other, your contracts of one-to-one connections because it rules Scorpio. Mars also for you in your chart also rules your second house of money, finances, and resources. So there could be like a really powerful conversation that unfolds at this moment in time. And it could be around a relationship of some sort. Mars is not necessarily loud in the sign of Virgo, but it is surgical. So there might be something that really just kind of gets cut here. And because the 12th house is the house of the exile, where we retreat from the world, where we go more into the spiritual self or delve deeper into self, it's like we're stepping away from all of those things to really start to understand more of the second house. How do I really value myself, and how is that showing up in my day-to-day experience? How is that showing up in my relationships, and how are my relationships shaping who I present myself to be? There's some really potent stuff going on for you guys this month, and I think deep reflection, spiritual clearing, a literal detox of your physical body might really help you at this time. You're preparing for a rebirth of sorts, right? But this is first and foremost, before we're doing the rebirth stuff, we have to do the purge on, and not like the literal purge, by the way. Libra goes out purging. On the I don't know, maybe that might be the case because you guys very rarely sort of lose your temper, right? So maybe you just do absolutely lose it and just go on a rampage. Jokes aside, on the 21st of the month, we've got Venus, your ruling planet, in the sign of Gemini, and she'll be at the bendings of the nodes. And what that means is she's squaring both of them. So she's going to be in your ninth house, right? Really beautifying and harmonizing that, looking to the future and what you have to say in your belief system. But your belief system is being checked by your past and your day-to-day experience, and also potentially your physical health versus your mental health might be coming up at this moment in time, whereby you're seeking somebody to assist you in a way where you're kind of looking at yourself and saying, what do I really need to change about myself at this moment in time? And who do I trust enough? Who do I have enough rapport and trust and faith and belief in to really help me navigate who I am trying to become? Because the truth be told, this month kind of feels like you're no longer who you were, but you're not who you're becoming. And so you're kind of in this really weird space. And even though balance is, usually your kind of thing, you might not find that at this moment in time. Venus here could bring fated conversations, potentially spiritual insights, travel related decisions that force sort of clarity. Maybe you just say, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. I'm going away for the weekend. I'm going to spend a weekend by the water in the log cabin, where I can just step back and do what I need to do, right? To really get back to understanding myself. Personally, because you've got an air sign in the ninth, my advice would be to do the hermit, right? Go to a mountaintop. I don't know about anybody else, but I love going to those really high peak places. One, because the vibrational energy is that much higher. Two, the air is always purer. And three, when you see the world and the people from really, really far up, it puts a lot of shit into perspective. You start to really understand, okay, that's what it means when we say don't sweat the small stuff, right? When you get that eagle-eyed, bird's eye, God's eye, if you like, view, you really it's one of the easiest ways to physically shift your perspective to snap you out of that in the moment of everything. On the 23rd of the month, the sun is going to enter the sign of Leo, come back into its own sign. It's back in the sign that it rules, and it's in the 11th house. It's bringing light and vitality and joy and creativity to your community, to your social circles. It's highlighting the people that you actually want to be connected to or not, as the case may be. It's a really great time to collaborate, to network, to clarify your future vision, to really get that stuff done. Now, after that retrograde sort of slowdown takes place, this solar shift might bring a fresh spark of direction, right? Where are you being called to lead within your community? Where do you feel like your dreams are asking you to be to asking you to go in order for them to be, kindled or rekindled in some way? It is Leo season, so don't just think about the future, but find a way to embody it. Straight after that, as if that wasn't enough, we've got the Leo new moon. So whatever you're, sort of really paying attention to on the 23rd, you're effectively locking it in on the 24th with that Leo new moon in the same sign. Because this is you planting seeds for the future. It's setting intentions for your future. It's really you embodying your future and thinking about your network, your people, your dreams, the highest goals and aspirations that you have for where you choose to go in this lifetime. You're envisioning this stuff now and you're locking it in. And with Venus still active in that eighth house, there might be hidden allies or financial boosts that come in through others alongside this new moon, right? So set your intentions with heart, with confidence. Really, Leo is about reminding you that the future should excite you, not just make sense on paper. Okay. On the 25th of the month, this is a somewhat more challenging transit because the sun's going to oppose Pluto directly. Now, this is happening across that fifth, 11th house axis, which means that it's possible that there could be a power struggle that comes up around how you express yourself versus how someone or something that you're tied to sees you and allows you to expand and grow or not, as the case might be. It's as well potentially challenging you to like the challenging where your desire for control or perfection or even validation is holding you back from real joy, right? Where are you censoring or editing yourself so that other people will find you more palatable? Where is it that you're just kind of going along with it because it's easier, right, than standing out and you don't want to get your head chopped off if you put it above the rest? This could stir up power dynamics in friendship groups, social circles, especially around, watch out for connections that feel toxic or manipulative in some way. And if they do, this might be the time to say, it's time. Thank you. Goodbye. On the 31st of the month, Venus is going to enter Cancer. She's coming into your 10th house. Obviously, you won't feel the benefit of this until really you get into August, but it's worth mentioning here because this is going to bring a lightness to the career and it's going to see you being able to really effectively polish up your image after a little bit of a skirmish has taken place. You might gain some more recognition, step into leadership. Remember, this is the house of authority figures. I always like the 10th house, like to actively use it as positioning yourself as an authority in some way. Because Venus is diplomacy and harmony, it can also represent contracts and commitments. And so I do wonder if there is a contract and commitment of some sort that's coming in over the course of this month ahead. All right. If you would like to book a natal chart reading with me, you can do so on the links in the description box below. If you're not on my mailing list, what are you doing? All right. What are you doing? So basically, every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, I send out emails and talk about the astrology. I pull a card for the week. There's so many other good bits and bobs in there. And every Friday, I give discounts on all of my different services and courses. These are things that you will not find on my socials. So if you're not on that mailing list, you will not be getting those goodies. The link for that to sign up is also in the link in the description box below. With that said, let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.